The beautiful island, that's what 16th century Portuguese explorers called it. Even today, away from the busy cities, Taiwan is full of natural beauty with mountains, lakes and vast tea fields. Yet the island has been a focal point of some bad blood between the United States and China for more than half a century, and it has everything to do with China considering Taiwan as theirs.
Taiwan is ours!
But why does China claim Taiwan?
China has carried out what it says is a mock air blockade of Taiwan in the latest escalation of tensions in the South China Sea.
One of the major sources of tension between the United States and China, the future of Taiwan.
解决台湾问题是中国人自己的事。
People of the Western world know this island as Formosa, meaning beautiful, the name given to it by Portuguese mariners who first sighted it in 1519.
Historical sources suggest that the island first came under full Chinese control in the 17th century. Then, in 1895, they lost the island to Japan, that was becoming a powerful player in the region. At the beginning of the 20th century, Japan conquered large parts of mainland China as well. Victory! Obviously, the Chinese did not like this one bit. So two Chinese resistance groups who actually hated each other's guts got together to fight against the Japanese occupier.
Hey Mao Zedong, why don't you and your communists join us nationalists in the fight against the Japanese?
Well, Chiang Kai-shek, I think that sounds like a plan. Little does he know I will shoot him the second the Japanese are gone.
Then I will be the one ruler over China. What? Nothing.
In 1945, China and Taiwan were liberated. But pretty soon, the Chinese resistance fell apart and a civil war erupted in mainland China between the nationalist and communist forces. The civil war ended 4 years later when the communists emerged victorious and the nationalists retreated to Taiwan, establishing their government there. And ever since, the two countries have developed separately from each other. Chiang Kai-shek turned Taiwan into a dictatorship, while mainland China remained a rigid communist state until well into the 1970s. Taiwan industrialized heavily and later made a smooth transition to the production of high-tech goods in the early 1990s. During this time, Taiwan experienced a peaceful transition to democracy. Over on the mainland, China became a giant on the world stage with a booming economy and a powerful military. But a transition to democracy didn't really take off. The People's Republic of China has always maintained that Taiwan is part of its territory. Since establishing relations with China in the 1970s, the US and Beijing have maintained a tacit status quo on Taiwan. But this is all changing with the continuing rise of China as an economic and military power. The current Chinese leader Xi Jinping, who kinda looks like Winnie the Pooh but doesn't want to be compared to Winnie the Pooh, is increasing the pressure on Taiwan. And the last two American presidents, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, have been increasing US support for Taiwan. Oh yeah, and then there's a small issue of the will of the Taiwanese people. Even though nearly 24 million people live on Taiwan, and most of them are of Chinese descent, not a lot of them dream of a reunification. Virtually no one wants to become part of communist China. That's kind of a clear signal from Taiwan.
No means no!
Lastly, a Chinese invasion would have severe consequences around the world. Since the 1940s, Taiwan has become a powerhouse in the production of microchips. You know, the stuff without which computers, satellites, cars, planes, and even washing machines do not work. And without, let's face it, the world is going to fall apart pretty quickly.